We are rolling. What is 5G? Where is it? How does it affect me and my family? Are there any studies talking about the health effects of it?
So 5G is fifth generation wireless, and it's the newest technology that promises to bring us faster downloads and internet connected cars, washing machines, your cell phone connected to multiple devices in your house, and to be able to download videos in a split second. Except, in order to do that, industry needs to build new short cell towers all over the United States and actually the world. And we're talking about millions of new wireless mini cell towers, which they call small cells, to be built right in our front yards, on our right-of-ways, which will increase the radiation that we're exposed to. And cities all over the world are opposing this, passing ordinances to limit this build out, to have people have a say in a cell tower in front of their home, and to halt 5G until there's proof of safety.
To what degree is 5G an emerging health and environmental risk? And tell us what a small cell is. Tell us more about 5G. If this was a big issue, wouldn't the mainstream media be talking about it?
So this is not an emerging risk. This is an urgent, immediate health emergency, because scientists are already sounding the alarm on the technology that we have right now. Cell phones, Wi-Fi, and wireless. And they are saying we need to reduce exposure because of published, credible scientific evidence showing harm at levels that are perfectly legal. So 5G is going to be like what we have now, but on steroids. And not only that, they're going to add in new technology and frequencies never used before on the population, certainly not on insects, on our trees. And all the powers that be, not all, but many, are saying there is no proof of harm when there is proof of harm, because the standard setting authorities are industry filled and industry loyal. And that is the sad state of affairs that we're in.
Does my local town have the right to say no to 5G, or is it a national thing?
There are laws at every level. At the federal level, in some states, almost half of our states have laws that are making it easier to roll this out and harder for people to say no. I know that in cities, just to say what's happening worldwide, cities in Europe are saying no to 5G. For example, Kalamata, Greece, was a test city for 5G. And there are test cities all across the United States where different companies are testing out the 5G network. But in Kalamata, Greece, after being rejoicing in the fact that they were a test city several months ago, the people got organized, they got educated, and now they are calling a halt to 5G. They no longer want to be a test city. There are 130, the number might be more now, over 130 cities in Italy where the mayors or the elected officials have signed resolutions, statements saying no to 5G until safety is proven. And in the United States, we're in a little bit of a different situation. And we are told by our elected officials that we can't raise health concerns because of the interpretations of the Telecom Act, which we believe to be an overreach of the Telecom Act. It says that environmental concerns can't be considered in the siting of cell towers as long as our government radiation limits are, as long as we're in compliance. But I'll tell you what is happening. So in Petaluma, Los Altos, several cities in California, they are saying no small cells can be built on residential, the rights of way in residential areas. Some cities have passed setbacks from schools to have protective areas. And a local authority can actually retain their authority by passing ordinances that allow them to have as much control as possible over their land, if that makes sense. So you got to get involved. We have to start finding out, number one, like for me, several years ago and learning about this way back, it was like, well, who are my elected officials? Figure it out. Let's start talking to your elected officials. They are there for you. Talk to them about this issue and figure out what you can do. Call for transparency. If you have transparency in everything, then this will itself raise the awareness of everyone in your community. You know, where are the cell towers? We now have in the county I live in, you can go online and you can look at a map and you can look at the proposed towers in the community and what we have now. But there's some communities where they don't even have that, where you don't even know where they are or where they're going to be.
Why have over 200 scientists called for a moratorium on the rollout of 5G? Why do they think it'll substantially increase exposure to radio frequency radiation that's been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment?
Because there's so much published science showing harm at what governments would call low levels. So everything from brain cancer, a type of brain cancer for people who've used cell phones for over 10 years in heavy use, and heavy use is defined as 30 minutes a day, to a study that just came out looking at teenagers who use cell phones to one side of their head, after 1 year, develop memory damage. And these researchers from the Swiss Institute for Public Health specifically did testing that looked at where the cell phone radiation was being absorbed into their brain. And this is a replication study. There are studies looking at animals that have found damage to the memory and increased hyperactivity in the offspring of prenatally exposed mice. Studies in rats have found damaged brain cells. Oxidative stress, in the majority of studies that have looked at oxidative stress, have found that there is increases in that in our bodies, and that can lead to all kinds of neurological issues as well as promoting cancer. The list is so long. DNA damage at the National Institutes of Health study on cell phone radiation in animals, which also found clear evidence of cancer. So all of these studies are just piling up year after year. I mean, every month I can't keep up with how many studies are being published showing harm. And yet they are dismissed time and time again by the authorities in various governments, especially in the United States, where we have captured agencies who are in charge. The FCC, which is former Verizon lawyers. When you leave the FCC, commissioners then become in charge of the wireless industry lobby groups or the cable companies. So there is no independent scientific review happening in the U.S. government.